Catherine Quintana. I'm the founding president of Oryspa Spa Solutions Incorporated. This is your #1 rice bran-based spa products in the Philippines. And also won the ASEAN Business Awards for Healthcare in 2016. Actually, I never planned to be an entrepreneur. I started after graduating from UP, went to development work, went to teaching, and when I had my firstborn child, I had a difficult pregnancy, so I had to stay home. And I went back to my hobbies, which is aromatherapy. So when we launched Oryspa in 2010 and went into franchising in 2011, we grew from 1 to many stores and present in Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao in just 2 years. But not a lot of people know that I started this entrepreneurship or going into business 18 years ago in my kitchen in a rented apartment in Quezon City. 2008, so when we did not join that show, I went back to research and I stumbled upon rice bran, or locally known as darang. This is the byproduct of production, rice production. So this is the brown part in between the rice that we eat and the outer kernel that we throw away, no, yung tawag ipa. So ito yung brown part, ito yung darang. So that is very high in vitamin A, which is an antioxidant also, so mataas ang oryzanol niya. And ang eureka sa akin doon is, it has a high smoke point, meaning kaya namin siyang gamitin, no? Very flexible yung raw material. So we produced initially 5 products from 2008. And then, sinabihan kami na PTI that we have to file a trademark for it and some, yun nga, yung mga patents. So, we went to the intellectual property office dito, we registered it. We even went to the US Patent Office in Virginia, in the US, no, to file. Kasi, my goal was to bring it internationally. Now, if you ask me, bakit naman gusto namin siyang mag-international? Eh, samantala, sa market pa lang ng Pilipino, ang dami na, no? Basically, DNA ni Oryspa is a Filipino brand. And the strategies that we employ in operating and also in expanding Oryspa, hindi namin ginaya yung mga dati kong strategies, no, for growing yung dati namin company na indirect exporting. Kasi nga, ang aking iniisip, we wanted to have an ownership of the brand. No? We wanted to have a different journey for it, especially that it is a pioneering product. So, I was told na if you have a pioneering product and you're the first in the market, the only way to conquer the market is to expand exponentially. The first to populate the market is the market leader of that category. Kaya sabi namin, we have to move in a different strategy. So when we had Oryspa in 2008, no, yung initial products, syempre yung mga kliyente namin institutional sa mga spa, salon, nung in-offer namin siya, yung mga clients nila, yung ginagamit na sa treatment, so kasi nag-evolve na kami from that mga aromatherapy products sa mga candles, we moved to spa products na. Pero yun nga, yung mga raw material, hindi pa rice bran before. So nung nagkaroon kami ng rice bran oil, ang ginawa namin, in-offer namin ito sa mga spa, sabi nila, bakit pwede kami kumuha ng mga pang-retail? Kasi yung customer namin, nagustuhan yung mga pang-treatment nila. So I now have a couple of spa asking me for retail products, packaging. Sabi ko, why don't we just launch it ourselves in the retail market? So that was also the evolution, no? Okay, so now the strategy is branding. So branding actually is copying the DNA of the enterprise from the entrepreneur. What are my visions? What is my mission? So what are the values that are that made me stay, no, in my journey? So those kasama, yun yung parang puhunan ng inumpisan si Oryspa. So in 2008, first few products. 2010, we launched the first store. The first store was in SM Calamba. When the mall opened, and it is actually a gateway to Laguna, yung mall na yon. And ako naman din, as a strategy, ayoko din ng masyadong malayo sa akin, no, where I live yung store. So doon namin binuksan. We have a turnover rate of investments na 6 to 8 months. No? Sabi ko, it was a dramatic rate, return of investment. So I went to ask experts to help us out to have a franchise development. So dahil nga, so makikita mo from institutional supply, okay, naglagay kami ng retail, binuksan namin, how to expand exponentially. And a lot of MSMEs in the Philippines, especially at the startup, wala talaga kapital, no? And what happened to me was, because I have already been doing 10 years of business, kahit pa paano, may capitalization naman. Hindi katulad na nag-umpisa ako ng year 2000 na 5,000 lang ang capital, no? By the time ng si Oryspa, meron ng kaunting capitalization, but not enough to expand exponentially. So what we did was to launch a franchising company. So instead of going to the banks for a loan, no, I did not do that. So what I did was bootstrapping as a strategy. So bootstrapping is relying on what resources you have. Okay, and because sabi ko nga pag-umpisa, ayaw ko ng utang kaagad. So ang ginawa namin, instead na mangutang, nag-launch kami ng franchising company, ginamit namin yung puhunan namin na available na capitalization to finance the franchise development program. So when we launched the franchising company naman, we grew na dire-diretso. So would you imagine we were opening stores, 3 stores in just a month, no, at the time. So mabilis siya. And in 2 years' time, we're already present in Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao. Kasi because ako as an entrepreneur, when I went into entrepreneurship, una kaagad kong na-expose ay export market. So I know that the market is not just local. Alam kong malaki siya. But I was just, even now I'm telling you this story, I'm having goosebumps. Now, I've been telling this story for several times, but I have goosebumps because at that time, my dream was to have that brand. Kasi new strategy, so we have a brand, and we wanted that brand to be exported rather than just products. So when we franchised the brand, and we grew Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, that was the time I said to myself, we're ready to go out. Because we now know how to operate stores ng malayo sa'yo. No? And also at that time, nagkaroon na rin kami ng maayos yung back-end. Kumbaga, the production part, and also the supply chain namin, and also the support system of the people. No? Yung tinatawag namin dito sa Oryspa na internal branding. So, we wanted our people to internalize the vision. Okay, and so, our vision is to be an international Filipino brand of choice in the wellness industry in Asia. So, yun na munang, malaki na yung market na yun. But the reason why, the reason behind that dream of bringing the brand internationally is to give pride, to the Filipinos outside the country, to see a local brand that is present in their immediate market. Now, ASEAN integration means the doors are open for companies in these ASEAN countries to do business with one another. If you're able to remember, at the time, the market, especially the malls, were flooded by foreign brands. Because they can easily do business here. So naisip ko, if the doors are open, it's not only for people or for brands coming in, but us, we can also bring it out. Yun nga lang, hindi ready karamihan ng mga local brands. Kasi ang training, katulad sa amin din, ang training lang ay mag-produce ng produkto at i-supply lang yung products na yan. No branding, no brand following, no brand equity. So when we had Oryspa, that was really the target. And then una na ang ginawa namin is to register the company in Singapore. When we did franchising, I wanted the branding journey to be very focused, no, for Oryspa. So I even have a foreign consultant at that time about branding. And sabi niya sa akin, "Share, if you want to be an Asian brand, you have to remove the word Filipino." And I said, why? Because if you wanted to expand exponentially throughout Asia, it will be difficult for you because Philippines is not known for wellness products. Ang sakit nun ha, kasi parang, sabi ko, ano ba yan? Eh kami, 500 years na yung namin, history ng Pilipinas. Asan yung culture and heritage tapos hindi ma-incorporate dun sa brand? And this foreign consultant was telling me na it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, in a short period of time. So sabi ko sa kanya, let me think about this. And the following day, I talked to him. Sabi ko sa kanya, you know what? Branding is like building a house. If you remove one post, everything crumbles. And that one post is being known as a Filipino brand. That is my motivation as an entrepreneur. So, sabi ko sa kanya, let it be difficult. So, yun na yung naset yung tone. And then, ASEAN integration talks were at the height of that. And I wanted to know, okay, so kung open na yung market, let's see, instead of just theoretically talking about it, no, we registered the company in Singapore and tried out the market. And also send out distributorship programs to other countries. What I realized is that when you actually promote your company, even if it is of high quality, there is always that part of traceability. Where did it come from? And if you say it's coming from the Philippines, now the hard part of introducing it to foreign market, that is the imminent reality. So I realized that kung hindi natin mabibuild yung image ng Filipino brands all over, kung hindi natin mabibuild ang Filipino brands outside the market as a whole, so not just Oryspa, not just Jollibee, for example, not just other brands, it will be really a difficult journey. Kaya pala yan ang sinasabi niya sa akin, kasi walang known na wellness brand. Kahit gaano kakagaling na kumpanya o gaano kaganda produkto mo, meron pa rin talagang need to promote Philippines as a producer of homegrown Filipino brands that are top-notch and of high quality. That can be a global brand. Mas madali kung marami kayo na pare-pareho na kilala outside the country. So that was the rationale behind my personal advocacy of Yes, the Filipino brand can. At this point, actually, you can see now a lot of brands in the market that are already taking pride in bringing their brands outside. It was also very inspiring for us when we won the ASEAN Business Awards in Laos. So, contending other ASEAN countries, and we won on top of very competitive companies from these countries. So sabi namin, kaya pala naman ng Filipino brand to. So that was really very inspiring for us to go in expanding globally. I won't be able to accomplish a lot of things if not for a selfless family who are very supportive of me. My husband, who has been my #1 cheerleader all these years, very instrumental that he was not just believing in the vision but also mentoring me. So he was the think tank behind all this, and he loved to be the support. So he would always rally me na, uy, She, maganda itong ganito mong nagawa mo, o pwedeng ganito. Plus, technically, he is now our Chief of Operations. And my children, I have 4 children. I have 2 teenager boys and I have 2 elementary girls. All of them were born and grew that I'm already into this business. The reason nga why I went into entrepreneurship is because I became a mother. Kaya it's not that hard to let them understand But it's really more of talking to them in process. So I'm very grateful that I have a family who supports me. I have 5 takeaways for you. Number 1 is know yourself. And if you find yourself in, as a startup, be willing to start small. So these are the stage where the strategies of bootstrapping and relying on your strengths and looking at what are the weaknesses that should be complemented by others take place. Number 2, if you find out lacking in some areas, do not hesitate to look for mentors. So that was very helpful for me. A lot of companies or MSMEs and a lot of entrepreneurs have that mentality of jack of all trades. No, I can do everything. So when you present to them, they will tell, alam ko na yan, kaya ko nang gawin yan mag-isa. Not true. Even if you are the smartest entrepreneur, you will always just have a niche of expertise. And you always have to tap mentors. Because this is what I found out. If you are already highly successful as an individual, not just an entrepreneur, you are always willing to help. You're always willing to mentor. And that's an indicator of success. So a lot of people you can tap, no? At that stage, at any stages of your entrepreneurial journey. So be willing to ask help and find for the right mentors. Now, if you ask me, ano yung right mentors? The right mentors are those who have been through that journey also or who have uplifted other entrepreneurs in that problem. Number 3 is embark in the branding journey. Identify your vision, your mission, and your corporate values. And number 4, when you're able to take that journey of knowing what is unique to you, sa akin, what was very helpful is to know what strategy to employ for expansion. So sa amin, franchising, some would be able to identify what strategies of expansion because believe me, whoever populates the market at the earliest, shortest period of time is the market leader. Number 5, last but not the least, if you're able to identify your vision, your mission, and your unique core competitive advantage, and of course your corporate values, that's a third part of the element. Now, number 5 is very crucial for you to implement it. A lot of entrepreneurs miss this out. They think it's all about themselves. They think that I can do this. No. Always an organization that is willing, that is ready to help you out, realize your vision is that will help you make the reality for your vision. And ito yung tinatawag natin internal branding. Do the internal branding in your organization. Do capacity building in your organization. Make your people competent. In that case also, in the long run, the people you're working with will also be ready to have their own Filipino brand in the future. So, I tell you, dream big but start small. Mentoring as an advocacy and promoting Filipino brands has been really fulfilling for me. And so I wrote this book, A Small Entrepreneur's Journey. This contains, chapter by chapter, all the experiences, all the learnings that I had for the last 18 years. So I'm now on my 2nd book, and that's about Filipino branding naman. So this discusses all, even the DNA of my company and also the strategies we employ. You will be able to finish reading this in just 2 hours. Ganun siya kadali i-digest.